this one is maybe a little bit more sloppy, but we're just sort of like feeling our way through the data, you know, getting a sense of 2023 from the sexual perspectives of the planet. We have a wonderful podcast, a journey into the minds of strange people doing strange things. Your weekly dose of weirdness, putting our finger on the pulse of society, the psyche of society, trying to understand people, their behavior, what motivates them to do what they do. And we figure that out through so many means. We've got so many arrows in our quiver, tools in our tool belt. We're trying to figure out that through misconnections, psychology journals, peer-reviewed studies, weird news stories, a never-ending source of social and societal insights. And look, hey, 2024, we're kicking it off. And what better way to know where we're going collectively and where we're headed as a people than to take a look back at where we've been and who we've been, maybe even who we are deep down as a community. And again, of course, what better way to do that than with what has seemingly become a bit of a yearly and annual tradition on Weird But Wonderful. It's the Pornhub 2023 year in review. Dude, this shit is fascinating. It's fascinating to give you an insight into a side of people that's normally like a private and personal thing. Yet we have all of this data and information on like, what have you been up to? Well, you've been squirreling away on your laptop or your phone late at night, huh? What are you searching? What gets you rowdy? You know what I mean? Look, it's a yucky yuck episode, okay? If it's your first time here, it's usually less yuck. And if it's your favorite time of the year, welcome on in. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know what this is basically Pornhub, a wildly popular pornographic website. It's written on the tin. And each year they release a big sort of like document info dump that shows like all the trends, the terms, the popular searches for that year, as well as recapping all the events of that year, like all the events that shaped that year's porn viewing habits of the world. It's a wonderful time. And again, you've been warned. It's a yuck warning, okay? Yuck alert! If you don't want yucks, you've been warned, because we're going to kick things off by understanding the trends that defined 2023. When we look back at 2023 and we say to ourselves, what were we cranking down to? You know, what was really justling our jimmies in 2023? We have that data, yes. Number one, the golden age. 2023 was a year of maturity and mature searches, which grew by 77%, became the second most popular category among men, led by mature cougar. MILF became the second most searched term worldwide, while DILF, including terms like muscle DILF, that grew 71%. It's good to see, you know, every year it's the same contenders, isn't it? It's like people are into old people, usually hentai. There's lots of like cartoon fucking in there. People want to fuck old people, cartoons, and huge hogs and huge cans. Those trends, you're never going to shake those. That's always going to be something that reflects us deeply at our core of society. We love huge hogs, huge cans, hot old dads, and hot old mums. So good to see the dads are in there. 2023, the year of the muscle daddy. Hey, keeping it in. Granny searches increased by 132%. We've seen MILF, we've seen DILF, and now we're joined by GILF with a 168% search increase, with terms like sexy granny and hot GILF trending. Don't show this episode to your friends and family. All right, let's kick back to like, you know, something a little bit more informative that's less fuck zoned. This episode's in the fuck zone. I'm sorry. Guilty is charged, okay? But you're here as well. So what does that say about you? We're both weird in this together. And we're just inquisitive minds, okay? That's all it is. Don't make it weird. Number 2, for the trends that define 2023, supersize. The terms big, bigger, and biggest grew 177%. I'm so sick of regular sized things. Give me the big, bigger, biggest. Even massive searches were up 91%. And Dr. Laurie Betito, this is my favorite part about the Year of Insights, other than the raw data itself, is that they get like insights from people. Again, they don't want to just say, look, everyone wants bigger hogs, bigger titties. Here's why. Or here's why we think people might want bigger hogs and bigger titties. Dr. Laurie Betito of the Sexual Wellness Center had this to say, quote, "It's human nature to be curious about the extraordinary. When it comes to sex, it's no different. We're all voyeurs to some degree, and we want to see the extremes, what we generally don't have access to in real life. That's why. That's the deep finger on the pulse. You know, it's fantasy, basically. Jack and the Giant beanstalk, not Jack and the everyday beanstalk that you have access to in your real life. Don't give a shit. Let me see the giant's hog. Thank you." Trending searches 2023. Number 3, sex machines. The top trending search, Android, grew by 1,689%, including terms like Android cosplay and Android roleplay. Searches for robot grew by 304%, with terms like sex robot, AI robot, 3D robot, and anime robot being the most popular. Term sex machine grew by 88%, as well as merchandise toys like milking machine. NPC, non-playable character, grew by 1,541% in 2023. The most popular NPC searches being NPC sex, game NPC, and hentai NPC. I'm assuming that's because of the whole, like, there was that TikTok trend around people being NPCs in like the mid to late 2023s. When asked Dr. Laurie Betito about this one, she said, quote, "Search trends over the years always coincide with what's trending in technology. Right now, we see a lot about the development of sex robots, so who wouldn't be curious about that?" I like the idea that someone thought to themselves, they're like, "Oh man, ChatGPT is crazy. Really doing a lot of my jobs now. I don't have to stare at the flat, the incessant, almost bossy flashing of the cursor on a blank page. And just, ChatGPT my email or something. And let me think. What would it be like to fuck ChatGPT? Let me just go look that up on Pornhub really quickly." Number 4 is uniforms. Searches for uniforms grew by 243%, led by military uniform, cop uniform, and man in uniform. Soldier searches gained 332%, with female soldier outranking military soldier and gay soldier. Uniform and soldier searches were often combined with terms like uniform cosplay, soldier roleplay, and soldier amateur. Soldier amateur. Just a guy that comes in and is like maybe like fumbling with his rifle. He's not like he's got his gun in the pieces and he's cleaning it, but he doesn't really know how to put it back together. That's sexy. I love when a dude in uniform is also fairly new to the role. You know what I mean? That's pretty sexy. On uniforms, Dr. Laurie Betito said, quote, "People in uniforms symbolize power, and many people are attracted to people who exude power and control. Other attractive qualities that uniforms, specifically military, cop, firefighter, represent are discipline, heroism, responsibility, courage, and commitment to helping people. Add a dose of hotness to the uniform and you have, for some people, the perfect fantasy partner." Oh. So it's all about, in 2023, we're horny for people in uniform because I feel like in 2023, there were a lot of discussions around power and control. So maybe this is like, this was a fun way to like, uniforms, a symbol of power, sexy power. Is it all about sexy power? 2024 is all about sexy power. I think we're done with like the whole, the actual power, the capitalism, the government, the news media. Am I right, everyone? And we're all about sexy power. Firefighters. Sexy. Boot maker. Pretty hot. That apron. Those little, the aprons that the artisans wear, and maybe they've got a little pocket in the front that's got like a bunch of pens and like a field notes notepad. Oh my boots seem to have worn a hole. Huh. I'm not role-playing this. What am I doing? 2024, the sexy power of the uniform corrupts. Be careful. Oh my God. No, it's just roleplay a fucking boot repair fuck scene. Jesus, thank God I ripped the emergency cord on that one. Fuck me dead. That would have been. I can't permanently inscribe that onto the internet forever. Holy shit. Oh, I'm gonna need a minute. Okay. I took a second to calm down. I think we can continue. I'm just almost cringe canceled myself. I almost canceled myself with cringe. It in the first week of 2024. Whew. All right, number 5. Our last of the trends that defined 2023. Number 5, sexual healing. I want that sexual healing. Sexual healing, baby. Oh, I fumbled that. Apologies. That could use some work. 2024, it's all about sexy uniforms and doing a little bit of work on ourselves. Sexual healing. Worldwide therapy searches were up 344% this year, including increases of 566% in Canada and 541% in Australia. So we were Australia apparently in 2023. I'll tell you this. I don't know if I necessarily felt that about 2023 living here in Australia. I don't know if I felt a sense of sexual healing spread across the nation, nor did I feel like there was more sexual healing. You know what I mean? It definitely didn't feel like there were more people interested in sexual healing. Maybe they were just in the information search phase. You know, they weren't practicing the sexual healing yet. Maybe 2023, the research about sexual healing. 2024, the practice of sexual healing. Who knows? We'll find out this time next year when the search trends come out again. Physical healing led the results, such as massage therapy, up 76%, therapy sex, up by 121%, and foot therapy, up 219%. Okay. Was it a particularly... Did we stand a lot? You know, was it a foot-centered year? Let's face it. For a lot of people, when it comes to like their sexual get-downs, I think it's a foot year every year for those people. If we're being honest. Hey, and this is an honest place, so let's get honest for a second. People's get down, a lot of the time, it seems, are feet. And I think we need to come to terms with that. I'll put a poll on this episode. I won't. Oh, yes, poll results for the last episode, guys, where we said, are you into feet? Ugh, okay. Professional terms like massage therapist grew by 62%, sex therapist 55%, and personal trainer by 85%. Okay, maybe more people coming out of the lockdown years wanting to get sort of, they're back into like, I'm doing the one-on-one with my personal trainer. I'm trying to sculpt that bod, get the bod right. Kind of want to fuck my personal trainer, I think is sort of maybe the relationship there. Do personal trainers have uniforms? Could we combine those two? The popularity of a sexual uniform, as not a sexual uniform, a sexy uniform, with the rapid increase in personal trainer, something to think about, you know? Dr. Laurie Petito does have a comment about sexual healing. Fantastic. She said, quote, I find it interesting that therapy is a porn search word. More and more people, thankfully, are seeking help for mental health and sexual issues, which is great. However, at the same time, fantasies about involving a patient/therapist relationship turned sexual is quite common, probably because it is taboo and involves a power differential. Back to the uniforms. It was all about power, sexy power. In real life, clients can experience feelings for their therapists, transference, because of the nature of the relationship. The client shares very intimate details of their life and feels safe, and this can turn into fantasies of a sexual nature. The forbidden nature of the relationship also may fuel this fantasy. Okay. 2023 in a nutshell. We were loving the olds. MILF, DILF, GILF. We've added another search term. I can't believe the searches for GILF was up 168%. Like, that's where it fucking hockey sticked on the graph. You know what I mean? Big, bigger, biggest. Of course, we want bigger, we want better. Even in this time of hyperinflation, where we're supposed to be, I think that's what's driving it. The big, bigger, biggest, 177% increase in search terms, is because in our real lives, hyperinflation, we need small, smaller, smallest so we can afford to live. So in our fantastical, sexy realms, big, bigger, biggest, sex machines, of course, dude, almost a 2,000% increase in search terms for Android. People really wanted to fuck ChatGPT in 2023, it seems like. Uniforms, sexy uniforms. It's all about sexy power. 2023, a time of sexy power. And also a time of sexual healing, you know? You know what I mean? And let none of us feel uncomfortable with what has been said, nor how we say it. Okay? Thank you. So that wraps up. That was the year of trends for 2023. And now we look at the most searched terms. So that was like what's popular. What's hot in 2023? Olds, supersizing, uniforms, healing, fuck robots. When you say it all out loud like that, I see a lot of those parallels with 2023. Now we look at the most searched terms of 2023. Topping this year's most searched terms will shock absolutely no one. I hope you're sitting. Jokes, stand on up, hentai. Round of applause, I guess. No one's surprised. A term that has seen increased popularity over the years and has held the top spot for the most searched term 3 years in a row. People love cartoon fucking. They can't get enough of it. In the United States alone, hentai was the third most searched term of the year. In 2014, it was the 10th most searched term of the year. This steady growth can be attributed to a variety of different factors. Our statisticians theorize, such as the popularity of video games like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which was released earlier this year, in addition to Overwatch and Fortnite, as well as the global popularity of anime, could have something to do with the growth. And they say Rule 34 is alive and well in this realm of porn. Rule 34, obviously, being if it exists, you can make porn out of it. Interestingly, the search term hentai is much more popular than the category hentai, which came in 9th. Let's just do top 5. Top 5 most searched terms for 2023. Coming in at number 1, the reigning champ for 3 years straight. It's hentai. Well done. Round of applause there. Round of applause there for hentai. Well done, hentai. Really seems that it is the quite the one to be dethroned, hopefully, in 2024. Do I think, is my prediction for 2024 that people will stop wanting to fuck cartoons? No. No, I think that's going to be alive and well in 2024, particularly with our, if we have inflation where it is still going, I see people wanting to even transcend the physical realm into the cartoon realm and continuing the hentai popularity. Hentai might actually increase in popularity in 2024, if anything. Sorry. So the most searched terms for 2023. Number 1, hentai. Number 2, MILF. Number 3, lesbian. Number 4, Japanese. Number 5, Pinay. Pinay. Pinay? Pinay. A woman of Filipino origin or descent. Okay. I think the most searched terms of 2023 really highlight that our interests don't really seem to shift that much. These are these are the usual suspects. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't read off any of those and you went, oh, what? MILF number 2? Lesbian number 3? This is news to me. The State of the Union, holding the top spot in the most searched term in the United States yet again this year was lesbian. Let's skip to, as an Australian in Australia who does like to shop local. Let's see what the people, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean in this context? I'm just trying to say, you get what I'm saying. I'm from, let's look at the Australian stuff. Whoa, what did that mean? Australia's most searched term for 2023 was lesbian. Again, absolutely no shockers here. The term MILF increased 2 spots this year, bumping Asian down to 3rd and hentai down to 4th. The terms threesome and massage all stayed in the same place as 2022. So we like threesomes and massages equally as much as we did last year. No growth there. Sharing a bed was Australia's top trending search of the year with a 605% increase, followed by therapy at 541% and Aussie MILF at 475%. Sharing a bed was Australia's top trending search. I tried to look this up. I don't understand why sharing a bed was such a massive growth term in Australia. At One Weird Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, email me, anything, get in contact, reach out. Do you know why sharing a bed was the most trending search? Did like Pete Evans put something out that said like drinking bone broth and sharing a bed like cures COVID? Forget co-living. Hot bedding sees students in Australia sharing bed with strangers, usually while sleeping in shifts. Okay, dude. I mean, that's the point where surely we're like, okay, people can't even afford their own bed at this point in the house that they can't afford. As far as relative categories went, Australia was more likely to view Asian by 155%. So this is us compared to the rest of the world. We were more likely to view the category of Asian by 155%. Pissing by 84%. Oh, this is a dark day. This is a dark day. In comparison to the other countries in the world, we were 84% more likely to be watching pissing videos. Let that sink in. Let that seep in. Why? And when you couple that with sharing a bed, oh yeah, what defined Australia for 2023? I'll tell you what did. Sharing a bed and pissing on each other. Good year. And FMM at 63%. This is a podcast of information. I don't know what that means. I'm going to assume it means female, male, male. Oh, right. I'll look it up, I guess. FMM meaning, because this podcast has information. FMM means facilities maintenance management, obviously. It's for planning, organizations, and executions of work that maintains and optimizes functions of buildings, equipment, and grounds. Now I have to type in to a not private search window, FMM meaning porn. From memory masturbation. Absolutely. There is absolutely no way I could have predicted that that's what that means. What do you mean it's from memory? Oh, what does that mean as a category on a porn website? What does that even mean? My favorite type of porn is I go to a porn website where I can view all of the porn in the world, all of the types of porn, you know, people dressed as robots, sexy, powerful uniforms. But I like to go there and I like to watch people who look like they're cranking down, not from looking at or listening to anything. My favorite type of pornography is I like to go to the pornography website where all of the pornography is and that I could watch it. But instead, my favorite type of pornography is I like to watch other people crank down who look like they're cranking down purely from memory. It's from memory masturbation, obviously. Everyone knows that. What does that mean? And what does that mean for us collectively as Australians for 2023? We loved sharing beds, pissing, and jerking from memory. You did it again, Australia. What the fuck? Okay, I didn't know that that was a thing. That might have broken me. Now, this I thought was pretty interesting. This is the United States top relative searches, terms searched more often in each state when compared to others. And again, like, I'm not very America savvy, so I'm just going to put this up. It's a video first podcast, obviously. Check it out at youtube.com/@Weird But Wonderful. I'm only really interested in Washington, where where my good friend Colin lives. And apparently his favorite search term is sensual sex. Minnesota, I'm sorry. Okay, no, we do have to read some of these, unfortunately. Minnesota loved tickling. I really should be cutting to my live at Washington correspondent for this part of the episode to try and get Colin's insight. But Texas, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm seeing, my eyes are glancing across the page and I'm getting to, okay, this is a lot. Let me get my bearings here. Oregon, they're all about nudists. Wyoming loved goths. Now, it said something up about here. In the Midwest, Wyoming loved goth, and back east in New Jersey, they loved Turkish. Our statisticians theorize that this could be reflective of the fact that New Jersey has the highest population of Turkish people in the country. And while Wyoming might have some nice Gothic architecture, our statisticians cannot confidently theorize where the interest in goth comes from in the interest of porn. That's not an insight. I wanted to know exclusively, like, why are they so into goths? And they're like, well, from all of our data and insight, our professionals can deem that they don't have a fucking clue. Oklahoma, sex dick, which I think is maybe more of a reflection on the failure of the American education system, because I don't know why you would be searching sex dick. Ohio might be an extremely small penis section of the country because their favorite search term was small dick, which was a weird one. Tennessee love giant women, like actual giants. Their favorite search term, giantess. Minnesota, tickling. That's a weird one, which I thought was probably the weirdest until I saw North Dakota was loud, wet sex, followed by Texas, creamy. I am disgusted. Texas is supposed to be like, isn't that where all like the big cool bad boys are? Like the Joe Rogans and the whoever the fuck else, the big beefy boys of the internet. Aren't they all in Texas? They're all searching creamy? Okay, dude. All right. A time for reflection. The world is lasting a few seconds longer. Okay, I should read a lot of this stuff before I read it out loud. This year, the average time spent on Pornhub increased by 15 whole seconds, making the average visit duration 10 minutes and 9 seconds. We can thank the 45-year-olds for that, as their average time was up between 25 and 77 seconds, while 18 to 24 was down 74 seconds. It's TikTok, guys. We're going to blame TikTok for that one, okay? That's just younger people, they're just having their ability to focus is going into the toilet, and that's TikTok's fault, okay? The antidote to short form media, unfortunately, is a book. So 2024, we are going to have to read more. I did buy a Kindle in hopes to do that. Is that James saying that he's trying to combat his short attention span? Yes, it is. 25 to 34 bracket was down 34 seconds. That's me right there. My attention span's down 34 seconds. 35 to 44 was down 6 seconds. How are we faring in Australia? Oh, Australia on average, we were down by 7 seconds, so not great. Sharing a bed, pissing, jerking it from memory, and we're down 7 seconds. Thanks a lot, Australia. Favorite times to watch pornography? Again, absolutely no shocker there. 11 p.m. 11 p.m. on a Monday. So that's you've come back. It was your first day back at work and you went, oh, for fuck's sake, dude. Back at this shit again. You literally, you watch it taper off towards the end of the week because it's like the more amped you get for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the less likely you are to like crank down. But when you're in like peak sadness, peak Monday back at work sadness, and it's 11 p.m. So you're like, oh, great, I'm going to get up to go to work tomorrow. You know, you spend that 9 minutes cranking down and then go to sleep, I guess. Least popular day was Saturday. The most popular day was Monday. That's my theory. I don't know, Pornhub, if you're out there, if you want to get some quotes from me for next year. I theorize that the 11 p.m. Monday night crankdown, which is the most popular, has to do with the sadness of returning to work at the beginning of the week. Now this, okay, we're getting towards the tail end of the data stuff here. And this has been a longer than usual episode. But again, we are trying to combat the short attention span and we are trying to keep our average minutes up, if you get what I'm saying. Heinous. Categories viewed the longest. Number 1, small tits, which I want to bring your attention back to the second highest trending category for all of 2023, which was supersize. We wanted big, bigger, biggest, grew by 177%. Massive was up 91%. Big boobs even grew by 78%. Huge tits were up 67%. Sorry for being crass, but they were crass. This whole episode's about fucking and juices and stuff. So the most popular category was like big, bigger, biggest. Second most popular category that was a search trend, supersize, a search trend that defined 2023. Yet the longest viewed category, small tits, 15 minutes and 46 seconds. And that's up 108 seconds. The most viewed categories. We wanted bigger, biggest, yet watching small for the longest. Interesting. Categories viewed the longest. Number 1, small tits. Number 2, brunette. Number 3, double penetration. Number 4, hardcore. And number 5 and 6, big ass, big dick. Okay. So, categories viewed the shortest, feet, 6 minutes and 3 seconds. That's almost a third of the time spent viewed on small cans. So, second category viewed the shortest, solo male. We also had muscular men and just sort of a lot of gross other stuff in that sort of category, that things that you would not want to watch. It tracks that these would be ones that are down in view time. You know what I mean? Fisting, you know, that's down 121 seconds and it was viewed 8 minutes and 4 seconds. So I don't want to kink shame. I'm just saying, like, not for me. Not for me. Maybe categories viewed the longest. Maybe I'm viewing this in the wrong context. So maybe feet being the shortest viewed means that's, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for this, but maybe that means it's the one that you bust faster to. Sorry, it's a grody episode. We did cover that, okay? Maybe you bust fastest to feet, but you bust the least to like small titties. I don't know. Is that how we should be viewing these numbers? Men versus women. The battle of the sexes, the most viewed categories by gender. Number 1 for men was Japanese. Number 1 for women was lesbian. Number 2 for male, mature. Number 3 for women, Japanese. So there's a little bit of overlap there. I guess number 4, men most viewed MILF. And number 5, women most viewed mature. So there's a little bit of an overlap there too, maybe. The proportion of female visitors. So 69% male, 31% females watching Pornhub in Australia. And again, all of the same sort of the visitor demographics in terms of, you know, the age brackets of people coming to the site. It's what you're expecting. The majority, 27%, is 18 to 24. The second highest, 26%, 25 to 34. The third highest, 35 to 44 with 19%. 45 to 54, 13%. 55 to 64, 8%. And 65 plus 7%. How did Australia split this down? So 24% of 18 to 24-year-olds in Australia, 28% 25 to 34. So if you are 25 to 34 in Australia, that's the largest group of porn watching crankdowns. It's funny that like it tends to be in descending order. So it's like the youngest to the oldest, and that's also how it splits up in terms of viewership. So like 18 to 24 most, 25 to 34 second, 35 to 44 third, and it goes down like that. Not Australia though. 18 to 24, yeah, 24% of us. And then it pops back up 25 to 34, that's your majority. We're breaking the mold. Let's see that as breaking the mold, and also let's try, oh, good. So that means that people in my age demographic, my age bracket, which I'm cusping out of this year, oh, let that sink in. I actually don't care. I don't care about the whole, like, you know, when people are like, oh my God, I'm getting so old. I don't feel old. And I don't think that anyone really feels their age. You know what I mean? Like, is anyone right now like, oh, man, I'm 36 and I feel 36. I don't know what age I feel, but the fact that the number is going to be 35 this year is... oh, maybe that's the year that I get real sad about my age. Could be. Let's find out. I forget the point I was making. 28%. So the highest demographic of people, 25 to 34 on Pornhub. Oh, and what are they searching in Australia? Oh, just sharing beds, pissing, and jerking from memory. Just wanted to remind everyone of that. Oh, this is kind of interesting. The breakdown in terms of top relative categories by generation. So 18 to 24, they love cosplay. They love it. They can't get enough of it. 146%. Hentai is their second. And then interactive is the third. That's interesting. Gen Z want interactive pornography. 25 to 34. Number one, muscular men. Number two, tattooed women. And number three, cosplay. Okay. That's quite a shift. 18 to 24 is like, I want people who are dressed up like the characters from the shows that I watch. I want to fuck cartoons and I want to get interactive with it. And then it gets to 25 to 34 and they go, you know what? I'm into fucking buff dudes, tatted chicks, and fucking cosplay, dude, dressing up. But that's the overlap there. Number three for 25 to 34, cosplay is the number one for 18 to 24. 35 to 54, scissoring, then vintage, then transgender. Is that, I wonder, it maybe that's sort of, because though all of those search terms also correlated with the highest search terms for women. So maybe 35 to 54, the majority of that bracket is made up of women, perhaps. I don't know. Scissoring, vintage, and transgender for 35 to 54. That's an interesting... It almost sort of like comes back to reality a little bit. You know what I mean? 18 to 24, 25 to 34 has cosplay in there. They're like, ooh, you know, and then it gets 35 to 54. No, dude, I'm all about nuts and bolts, brass tacks, scissoring, vintage shit, transgender people. That's what I'm into. I'm into everyone and old stuff. Vintage. Maybe that's where you start to get a bit like nostalgic. You know, you've given up on technology a bit more. I'm doing less of social media. You know, I'm making like sourdough, that kind of stuff. 55 plus. Number one, smoking. Number two, transgender. Number three, handjob. Smoking as number one. That really came out of nowhere. Because again, there's at least in a lot of these lists, because they list more than three, there's an overlap. But for the boomers on 55 plus, smoking just comes in out of nowhere. Didn't see smoking coming. There's something in that, but let's not delve into it. So 2023, traffic by phone, desktop and tablet. So how were people watching? Phone, number one at 91.3%. Desktop, number two at 7.2%. And tablet, number three at 1.5%. But what's interesting about that is phone grew by 8% from 22 to 23. Desktop decreased by 46%. And tablet decreased by 43%. So something happened from 2023 to 2024 where people were like, oh, I don't need to like sit at my desktop to crank down. I didn't want, I don't want, my brain got lost there for a second because I was like, I don't want to repeat something I've already said, but I don't want to like just come up with a new one on the fly. We could be getting into really dangerous territory there. And then 43% were like, you know what? The tablet, it just seems like a lot of people went like, the desktop, not mobile enough. And the people in tablet were like, too big and clunky. And everyone discovered the phone and was like, the most portable crankdown device in the household. I'll just juice it on the go or in any room that you want. Not on the go. Not on the go. Okay, we're winding down. This has been a bit of a long one, but I didn't want to plan too much of this out. I just sort of wanted to feel my way through the document. How do I feel about saying feel my way through the document? Not great, but it's fine. We've already said it, so we'll move on. So yeah, we're just, this one is maybe a little bit more sloppy, but we're just sort of like feeling our way through the data, getting a sense of 2023 from the sexual perspectives of the planet. But we're coming to the end. We've got movie parodies and characters. The cultural impact of movies and their characters often factor into the porn people are searching. Viewers love to see the element of fantasy, not strictly nudity, and for that reason, porn parodies and cosplay are very popular on Pornhub. In 2023, the most searched movies and characters, number one, Star Wars, which I feel like has got to be a pretty significant contender every single year. It's a very popular franchise. Number two, Harley Quinn. So not even like, well, I guess because you're not going to go to Pornhub and type in Batman. Star Wars, it's much easier to search the franchise. When you're in the Batman realm, you've really got to get character specific. The Joker, Batman and Robin, that type of energy. So number two is Harley Quinn. Number three, Game of Thrones. Number four, Avatar. Number five, Harry Potter, which was pretty close to Wonder Woman. They've also got Black Widow, Catwoman, Elastigirl. Is that the mum from The Incredibles? Princess Leia, 365 Days. I don't know what that is. Is that a movie? Megan. People were searching Megan porn. That was the killer doll from 2023 from the Blumhouse one that sucked. Just kidding. Most of the Blumhouse movies suck now, unfortunately. The Incredibles, Spider-Man, Power Rangers, Deadpool, Monster Hunter, Superman, Avengers, Captain Marvel, Batgirl, Magic Mike, Loki, Gamora, Scarlet Witch, Jessica Jones, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then John Wick at the bottom. Some people got to get a glimpse of the Wick dick. Absolutely heinous. The most searched video games: Fortnite, Overwatch, Minecraft, Pokemon, Atomic Heart. I don't know what Atomic Heart is. Pokemon, that's a wild one. That's got to just be the characters, right? Like that can't be the Pokemon themselves. I'll tell you what, you go search it up, you let me know. And that's it. That's a wrap on 2023, a year in review. It says, while categories have remained quite similar over the years, search terms vary widely. We love to see how interests change, what new stars rise to become world famous, what cultural events impact the porn people watch, and how the psychology of it all comes together at the end of the year. That's my favorite sort of takeaway from this, is that it's really, like I said, it's an insight into something that is normally very personal and private. And it's a way of sort of like collectively looking at people when they're in those personal, private, not necessarily in those personal, private moments, but just that's when I guess people feel the most sexually authentic, maybe, is they, it's just them on like a fucking mobile phone, I guess, as the search terms were up, by themselves. They're looking for something to crank it down to, and they're typing in. And you get this this insight into people at a time where you get what I'm trying to say is you get an insight into people in a way that feels really authentic, because it's kind of like someone's diary. You know, no one's ever going to read it. You can write in there whatever you want. And that's what the porn search kind of is. Like, no one else is going to see what you're searching. So I feel like that's when people can be their most authentic sexual self, searching out the things that they're interested in, or, you know, whatever, or that gets them going. And this is like a way to see that. Is that weird that I find that fascinating? I'm fascinated by it. I just find it really interesting. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for being here, hanging out, sharing your time with me. Again, I know you could be spending your time in a million different other ways, and you've got a billion things competing for your attention. Books now. We're up. In 2024, we're reading more books. I'm reading Recursion by Blake Crouch, after which I looked up online and people were like, there's a first one. And I was like, please don't tell me I have to read one before this to get it. And then someone said, this is a standalone. And I was like, that's enough for me. But again, sorry, a million things competing for your attention. And I'm just glad that you've chosen to spend some of your time here with me. It means a lot. If you want to keep up to date with me, you want to find more of what I'm up to, at my Pixel Persona on Instagram, but mainly TikTok. I'm posting a fair bit on TikTok, actually, or at One Weird Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. I think I'm going to put like clips and stuff up on TikTok for that personal insight, still on the gram, because I'm clinging to a dying platform. Leave a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get podcasts. It really helps people like you find the show, and it makes it seem legitimate. Social proof, very important. The first episode for 2024. I'm excited. I have so many banked stories for episodes, so I'm just really keen to, I've got a little goal to try. I'm aiming to get out one every single week this year. So berate me on the internet if you see me not sticking to my goals. But again, thank you so much. I hope your 2023 was powerfully sexual. Hopefully you weren't one of the people searching, sharing a bed, pissing, or checking it from memory. And, you know, here's to 2024. Here's to 2024. Here's to 2024. Yeah, we're keeping it. All right. I'll see you next time.